Welcome back to the VR Lab. Today Nick's going to be talking about some of the theories behind 360 video production, and I'm going to be sharing some of my practical top tips.
So a few weeks ago there was a really interesting paper released which looked at some of the practicalities of introducing 360-degree video into a hospital-like setting for recording POV or patient perspective work. And this is a very, very effective way of capturing the importance of perspectives in this space. But there's also a lot that needs to supplement this understanding. It isn't often a case of just setting up a camera. There's a lot of theory behind it. For instance, what does it evoke for the user? What does it really mean to see through the perspective, through someone's eyes? And we're not just talking about the practicalities of a camera view, but actually the emotional effect that this view has. Imagery is understood to both reveal and conceal information. It isn't a point of pure evidence base. Instead, it suggests what might be or what might become. And that's the thing about film theory. It's a suggestion to the audience of how something might be. And if we treat video as an evident, then we are losing the plot altogether. Because video is all about reflection, and point of view requires a lot of work, not just practically with a camera, stabilizing it, making it comfortable for the viewer afterwards, but actually what are the triggers within that scene to evoke that needed learning reaction, emotion, communication, compassion. Where are the audience looking? You are controlling that perspective, so you have to get it right. Instead, as a starter for 10 for 360 video, consider the witness camera or the documentary camera, and actually how the 360 camera, when positioned in an active environment, can begin to really reveal true value. And for more tips on that, here's Harry as we begin this series looking at some of the theory and practicalities of 360 video production.
Hello again. So I've only been recording 360 environments for about 6, maybe 8 months now. But in that time I've learned a lot from Nick, who's been doing it for about 4 years. And I've also have a lot of experience, about 3 years, in recording video in healthcare environments. So here's some tips I wanted to share with you about recording 360 video in healthcare environments. Firstly, POV isn't necessary most of the time. Despite it being a popular position choice for patient experiences, it's only really useful in scenarios where patients literally can't do anything more than look around, like going under anaesthetic or medical imaging experiences. For most scenarios, I've adopted a typical documentary approach. That is, the camera is a bystander or silent witness to the events unfolding. Leading to my next tip, that where possible, the best place to position the camera is to hang it from above, on a mount like this one. This is a relatively cheap Manfrotto clamp and arm mount, and I've got into the habit of mounting it in a way where, relative to where the camera eye is, the mic would appear in the ceiling of the room. And I found that most people tend to ignore the ceiling, so you can hide the rig in this ceiling space quite comfortably. Most 360 cameras have 1 or 2 omnidirectional mics built in. However, we found that having a separate dedicated mic and recorder is a much better solution to picking up all the nuances of communication in amongst the usual cacophony of sounds that comes with clinical environments. The only issue that we struggle with occasionally is finding ways to hide the sound recorder. Do some practice runs and make sure no one stands in the way of the camera. Make sure the scenario you're capturing is not set up to last longer than your capture device can stay running for. Double and triple check the charge of the device. Bring extra batteries if you can, or better yet, plug the camera into a power pack. Also install a large SD card, just to be safe, maybe 64 gigabytes or more. If you can get a 360 camera that you can control remotely from an app, I highly recommend it. And when recording, we recommend the highest resolution possible and no lower than 4.5K. It's at this point I like to say that plans sometimes are pretty useless, but planning is indispensable. Thanks for watching our 360 video production theoretical thoughts video and practical tips. If you've been watching the videos, please subscribe because then we know that you're watching videos. If you want to join in the conversation, the best place to contact us is via Twitter. At the moment, I'm particularly interested in the discussion about whether POV or bystander positioning of the 360 cameras, what are the pros and cons of each.